Whoa, whoa, whoa. We've coaxed you into watching another episode of Coastin, haven't
Yep.
we?
Logged in on your FloHockey accounts and we're ready to go.
Episode 8 of Coastin with Piv and Finer. I'm Evan Pivnik, voice of the Adirondack Thunder. David Fine is over to one of these sides. I don't know which way you're going to put this, David. It might confuse me. I'm going to go this way, so hopefully you put it on the other side to make me look like an idiot. Thank you. David Fine is the voice of the Reading Royals, and today we present to you another episode of Coastin. It's going to be a fun show today. Have some fun stuff to talk about, including another team joining the fold in the ECHL, and we'll talk to Tyler Coulter as well, who is a member of the Rapid City Rush. Have a great conversation with him, and we learn a lot about Rapid City and Mount Rushmore and Brandon, Manitoba, Canada, which is what we had on the list to start the day today.
Yes. Well, first of all, Tyler was a wonderful sport about everything because he's a pretty easygoing guy. We talk about, what's the best thing about Brandon, Manitoba, which I tell the story of why we asked that question. It got me thinking about best thing from my hometown, and I want to hear yours, Evan. So Bloomfield, New Jersey, town I grew up in. The final scene of the final episode of the TV show The Sopranos was filmed half a mile from where I grew up. I don't know anyone in The Sopranos besides James Gandolfini, but I remember the day they filmed. The person that comes into the restaurant, the family member, the girl, I can't remember who it is, parks in an illegal parking spot. She would get towed for parking. And in fact, it's next to a Rita's Ices. Now that's significant because Rita's Ices across the street from Holston's, where they filmed it. Holston's has the best ice cream in the world. Rita's and Holston's have coexisted with separate types of frozen treats across the street from each other. And that's the best fact about my hometown. So now I will pass it off to you. Best fact, most famous fact about your hometown.
So my hometown is Oceanside, New York. It's on the south shore of Long Island. Over by Long Beach is where I usually say, because people are like, oh, where is that? It must be by the ocean. Kind of is. It's about 5-10 minutes away from the ocean. Best thing about Oceanside, New York. I'm just trying to think. You kind of put me on the spot here, David.
I had a good one ready to go.
I know you had a good one. Yeah, one of the most memorable scenes in television history was filmed in your town. Oceanside, New York. So there is a show on Netflix called Maniac with Emma Stone and Jonah Hill. That was filmed in my hometown, like 2 blocks away from where I live. It was like the big shopping center in the middle of town, and they converted it into like a theme from like the 1980s. It was really cool, but they closed like 2 of the restaurants for like 3 weeks while they were filming, so I couldn't go eat in one of my favorite spots. Oceanside is a cool town. It's home to Miami Dolphins legend Jay Fiedler.
Yeah. New York Jet great.
New York Jet great.
1 year, 05.
Yeah. So fun fact, Jay and I are both Oceanside High School Hall of Famers. You can't take that away from us.
I will say this too. Speaking of famous athletes, we got to stay on the famous movie topic here because this is going to blow people's minds. I couldn't believe this when we found this because I'm, in Reading. You're in Glens Falls. Chad Henne, a Reading, Pennsylvania high school area native. He went to Wilson High School, which is a 2 miles away from the arena. Chad Henne, quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, going to the Super Bowl, a one-time Super Bowl champion.
The other quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. The backup quarterback for the Kansas Chiefs. Hey, he won them a playoff game down the stretch. Yep. I don't know how many points he actually put on the board, but he had that Tony Romo clinching amazing run, and then the fourth quarter trickery on the play on the third down, make it or break it situation. So Chad Henne, a proud Reading, Pennsylvania area native, along with Taylor Swift.
Yep. So you're a basketball guy, so you appreciate this. Art Heyman is also from Oceanside, New York.
Well, I'm pointing to the wrong thing. You know who my guy is, also a Glens Falls guy.
Here in Glens Falls.
Yeah.
Glens Falls right now is Joe Girard, the third, JG3 as they call him, playing basketball, and I think he had the New York State record for most points in high school, which is unbelievable. And like it's so funny because with our schedule, when the years he was, a junior and senior in high school, which was just a couple years ago, our schedule like didn't align for us to for me to go to any games. But one of the games that they played was at Cool Insuring Arena. So I was like, oh, okay, perfect. I could, go watch JG3 play once I'm done with my work day. So I go up to the concourse because our offices are in our arena. So I walk upstairs and I'm like, first half, I'm just watching from the concourse, like from just like the railing, just watching it. Wasn't impressed. I was like, this is what everyone flocks for, JG3, whatever. So I think he put up like 10 or 11 or something. I was like, yeah. So I went home at halftime. So I looked at like the box score. He put up like 67 points.
That's amazing.
I left. I was like, this guy stinks. He puts up like 67.
That's the thing about high school sports too. There's times I can recall, a guy's a commit to a certain school in football, and football it's a little bit more apparent because sometimes they're just bigger, faster, stronger, and they just, they stand out. But like there's times where even earlier this year calling a football game for my alma mater in New Jersey where we were playing West Orange is the name of the town. And they had a guy who's, he committed to some SEC school with a Big Ten offer or whatever, and he might switch or whatever. And it's like running back gets the ball, like spin, run to the opposite side of the field, spins, run back to the middle of the field, get 15 yards. And you're like, he should have lost 10 there. And in high school, they just put up some really wild things. I don't want to get off track here. Savannah, Georgia is the next slated franchise to join the ECHL. So to recap, because we talked about this a few weeks ago, Trois-Rivières, Quebec, next season, 21-22. Coralville, same thing in the 21-22 season, Coralville, Iowa. Now we get a team down south in Savannah, Georgia. It's going to be a great market for the league. It has been in the works for a number of years. The Oakview Group was involved in bringing Seattle hockey, the Seattle Kraken, and now they're stepping into the ECHL waters. So this is going to be a slam dunk, I think, for the league if there's any indication of the work they've done with the Kraken and other franchises that they've worked with.
And it's great to see a team, the team that brought the Seattle Kraken in, take a real interest too in minor league sports because, with that tie-in right there, there's probably going to be some inkling that might be their ECHL affiliate. I know Palm Springs, their AHL affiliate, is not going to start until a year after the Kraken already starts. So we're going to see maybe if that has some sort of tie moving forward. I'm sure they're going to have a little bit of a connection there. But it's nice to see a group take an interest in development in terms of getting their players situated. They know, they're going to get Palm Springs off the ground in a couple of years in the AHL. And then they're going to take a real interest in growing their ECHL franchise too, which is going to be really exciting to see. And also it's going to create a little bit more of a rivalry down in the South Division too. That's going to be fun, especially, Atlanta, Savannah, Jacksonville, all being so close to each other, and then you have South Carolina, and all those teams there too, Greenville, and it's not far at all for these South Division teams in terms of travel, but it definitely throws another fun team to talk about, and the South Division's competitive too. It's always competitive. It's always a very tough division, no matter what year it is, and to throw another team in the mix is always going to be fun.
I'm just laughing because for the Reading perspective on this, well, you got Trois-Rivières. That's not far necessarily from you guys. That could be a day trip. Reading used to have, and every Royals fan mentions this, Johnstown and Atlantic City and Trenton and Elmira were all day trips for the Royals. And the Reading fans have been waiting for that one new close geographic rival to come in because even though I would argue Newfoundland and the Royals are the two, biggest rivals sort of each other because the series has been really even. I mean, come on, the Royals and the Newfoundland Growlers. It's an intense hockey rivalry, but it's not a geographic fan clashing with each other. The Royals and Adirondack, you're the closest division opponent to Reading. So those first few games between Savannah and Charleston, I mean, that's like Savannah's right on the border of South Carolina too. That's a 90-minute drive. That's, what's the best sort of resortish city to go to in the South. There's some pride to be taken in that. It's kind of like the Coastal Carolina got into it with the Hilton Head theme in Myrtle Beach, like with Coastal Carolina and football and in Conway down there. So I feel like that's going to be the kind of like Southern pride that they have in their cities down there. Cause I know Charleston's a great city and I've heard wonderful things about Savannah. Now, before we get off track here, Savannah, Georgia, 140,000 people in the census a few years ago. Do you know what famous movie bench is known for in Savannah, Georgia? There's a famous bench in a movie. What movie is it from? I didn't tell you this beforehand.
No, you didn't, but I'm going to use my Jeopardy thinking here. So there's always, when you play Jeopardy, there's always another clue within the clue.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking here, famous benches in a movie.
Yeah.
Biggest one that comes to mind is Forrest Gump.
No way you just got that without looking it up. No way.
I did not look that up.
You're so good at this, man. It is.
But it's not. It's just association. Like, what do I think of when I think of a bench in a movie? It's Forrest Gump sitting down.
You know what I think? Like the meme where the monkeys like hitting the pots and the pans against each other. That's how my mind works. So
I don't know. I'm just built different, man. Built different.
A little different.
Yeah, but I feel like that was the answer, and I'm sure
it is.
Let us know if anyone else thought of that right away too, because a famous bench in a movie, that's the first thing I think of is Forrest Gump. So you tie in the South a little bit with that too.
Yeah, it is the South tie-in, I guess. Now, you'll be interested to know in the movie Forrest Gump, in that bench scene, the bus route, opposite way in normal life. So they actually reverse the bus route for how the bus wipes across the screen, so to speak, in certain of those scenes.
That Hollywood magic, man. That's incredible.
It's kind of like, I feel like there's a reason why they had it happen that way. But the only thing I can think of is, what if instead of the bus coming from left to right, it comes from right to left? Oh, that's the real magic.
And then you have to think about, like, because that's what fascinates me about, how movies are made. I have a friend who works in television, and he helps out with stuff. Hopefully he does more, because I want to brag about, me having friends that do cool stuff. But in terms of like how they get everything to work, like he works in New York City, and they go and, look at locations to see where they can film. That's one of the things that he helps out with. And the fact that they're looking for did they film the rest of the movie in the Savannah area?
I'm not sure at all. I know what is it in the movie? It's Greenbow, Alabama, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Greenbow, Alabama. And
great scene.
But like, that means it was someone's job to find a bench somewhere in the United States that they can film at. And the only gripe they had about it was that the bus was going the wrong way. So they had to spin it back around. It's hilarious to me.
I want to know if like the person that scouted that area or knew that area, these are the mental kind of like, like puzzles that I build in my mind. Yeah. And as George Carlin said, it kept him out of the good schools is his famous line. This is what kept me out of the good schools. Like, was there an issue? When did they realize that the bus going the wrong, like the bus pulls in and they film like shot one, bus pops by. They're just stop. This is wrong. It needs to go the opposite way. You didn't do a good enough job scouting it. But we're stuck here, so we got to do it anyway. When did they realize that it was wrong?
Well, which way is it going? They're sitting here? And
I don't know. I really don't know off the top of my head.
Well, I don't. Whatever. It might be a one-way street. We don't know. It's Hollywood magic, and it's the imagination of how things work. And then he's like sitting there for like, however long, telling his entire story to like 4 different people. And cool. But again, the fact that they had to find a bench, and it just happened to be in Savannah, Georgia. So maybe someone's from Savannah, Georgia, and had something to do with making the movie. That's, if someone has any answers to that, please let us know. But going back to Savannah's going to be a great place for an ECHL franchise. Maybe they incorporate the bench. That'd be great. You have
penalty box.
A penalty box. You put it around the bench,
or just the bench area.
Yeah, or you could have your players, take a photo sitting in. You recreate the scenes in Forrest Gump with players.
I was going to say that, but here's the thing, because I did a little bit more research. The bench is in a museum now. I think they have like at this spot it was filmed, this scene. But I think if I remember reading right, that the bench is in a museum there. So
in Savannah.
In Savannah, yeah.
Okay.
So, any ECHL fan that would go and like visit the city, I think you might want to look up where the bench is until you start scouting around town. I'm also curious to know about because then there is the scene sort of near the end where he leaves the bench and he goes, to complete the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that rest of that scene is filmed in Savannah, because I'm not sure about that, or when does it change location to location?
I got it. I got the perfect Savannah marketing for the new team.
All right.
You go to the spot where the old bench
Peter
was.
Luco right now and a few others from
Here you go. Here you go. This is it. And I'll take commission 45% at the least.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get approval from the city to put another bench right where that old bench was,
Okay.
but you cover it in Savannah ECHL franchise branding. Like the whole thing's wrapped in like you have logos and stuff on
Yeah.
there. You have like your number for tickets. So this way, you know, you have your tourists who go to Savannah, Georgia, and they might know that fun fact about the Forrest Gump bench. They plump their behinds right on the bench. They take a photo, and what's in the photo? The Savannah logos for the new hockey team.
And then you put up like lawn signs. You make sure that night you put up lawn signs near the bed, like
Home game tonight because you're in Savannah already. You're not really. I don't know what the nightlife is in Savannah, but from 7 to 9:30, you could be dancing it up at the Savannah ECHL game.
I like the way you think. Your resume has been prepared in case you're willing to take that jump, and we can send it over right away. So maybe you'll be in Savannah very shortly.
I just want to sit on the bench. That's all I want to do.
That's a great idea. Tyler Coulter coming up next from the Rapid City Rush. He was great, and we hope you stick around for this because this interview, Piv and I and Tyler had as much fun, I think, as we've ever had in an interview. So here we go. Tyler Coulter, Rapid City Rush. Tyler, it's great to see you. It's great to hear that you're well. We know it's been an interesting year. What have you made of your second year in Rapid City and everything that comes with it?
Yeah, it's been a great year so far. Thanks for having me on, guys. A little bit different this year, especially with, COVID and some protocols here and there, but our team's just done a great job so far. Our staff worked so hard all season getting kind of everything in place and set up. The gym was set up just like normal. We have open slots, the room and everything it's been completely normal for us inside the rink, which has really helped us just kind of get back and adapt to, life and hockey as what it is right now.
Now, when you guys come to the rink for the first time going into this very strange season, there has to be a lot of buy-in, right? Everyone kind of has to be on the same page. And did you get that kind of right away? Everyone was here for a purpose, so everyone kind of had to follow the rules and everyone was on the same page?
Yeah, it was almost kind of better this year. You say better in the times we're in, but it was nice as in everyone's coming here. We know not a lot of guys are going up to the American League with all the quarantine protocols, all that stuff. So everyone is coming to the East Coast to stay. And I feel like that was really nice, just kind of having everyone start as even. And we're all here just to play hockey this year. There is no real life outside the rink per se. So it's great just having everyone, all in for the same goal.
I don't want to dwell too much on COVID, but I remember when you were talking with Binner in the summer, you were there the first Zoom signing, and Binner being the great Mark Benetti, the media relations director of the Rapid City Rush, sent that over. I was checking it out, and you talked about going to the rink in Brandon, Manitoba, and how there's only one case kind of when you were swinging back into it. But when you got to Rapid City, there were a lot more than that. So how did you make that, coming across the border and, it's a different, somewhat less safe in a certain sense atmosphere and trying to navigate that?
Yeah, it was very different back home from Brandon, Manitoba. And we did only have about one case a week for almost the entire summer. So the rink was open. We skated 5 times a week. Our gyms were wide open, and everyone knew just wear your mask. It was very, very simple in the fact that I'm from a small town. So it's easy for everyone just to kind of buy in and do the same thing. Getting down here, Rapid City, I know it's a much, much bigger place, and there's a lot more traffic going through here. So there is going to be the bigger numbers and all that. But like you guys said at the start, we were here for hockey, and our bubble's so small that it still kind of feels like normal life. And you might have some setbacks here and there, but that's just kind of what we're getting through.
Now, you said growing up in Brandon, Manitoba. You stayed in Brandon, Manitoba for quite a bit. You were able to play your junior hockey there. Just what led you to staying there for such a long period of time? Was it just the comfort of being home in a familiar space, or was it just the opportunity, so it was right place, right time?
Yeah, I'll jump more in the right place, right time. It was kind of luck almost. The GM of the Brandon Wheat Kings was my neighbor, Kelly McCrimmon, who made his coaching debut for Vegas last night. I wasn't very big or anything like that when the draft came by. I was only about 5'2", so wasn't picked. Actually went to Calgary Hitman Camp and then sent back from there to midget in Brandon, and 2 games in was listed with the team next year, just walked on. So got fortunate to walk on at 17, played 5 years in my hometown, and It was great. I got to live at home the entire time. We actually had 7 kids from Brandon play on the team, and we were really fortunate. We had a great hometown group, and we ended up winning one year. So, I mean, everything that really could have came true there did.
So those kids who were on your team with you from Brandon, those obviously guys you had to know, right? You were kind of growing up, so it was kind of a sense that you were just kind of playing hockey with your buddies.
It was great, actually. 6 of us live on the same street.
Oh.
So it was a dream come true. Also saying that from Brandon, I mean, there's only 41 streets. So the odds of us all being in the same neighborhood are pretty good.
Yeah, in Kearney, Nebraska, I lived in Kearney, Nebraska, worked in the USHL, and for those 2 years, there were 56 streets. So, it's 25% larger. I love the atmosphere that comes. I'm talking about USHL, but I have to imagine it's even ramped up even more. WHL, major junior hockey. And you mentioned the 6 guys that you played with on your block. When you walk into your favorite restaurant back home, what's that like type thing when people just know that it's like, hey, this is Tyler Coulter. He grew up here, and he might go score a goal on Friday night for us. Like, how could you describe that feeling being a 16 to 20-year-old and having that in your life?
Yeah, it was kind of neat. We kind of grew up with that our whole lives. I mean, we had those guys from Brandon. Matt Calvert plays in Colorado now. He was that guy that we looked up to. Mark Stone was the same way. And those were the guys that you'd see around town growing up. And you were like, wow, like those guys, they're just out for breakfast at our favorite spot. And like, they're going to play tonight. Like, let's go watch them. And it was pretty neat kind of going full circle on that. I mean, we all went to the same restaurants. There is only a certain amount of restaurants. So you find your favorite spots, and it was pretty cool being able to hang out with my friends all the way through Wheat Kings and junior hockey. I mean, traveling around Western Canada or North America, it was pretty neat.
So did you get to grow up and go to these Brandon Wheat Kings games and get to see a lot of these guys that would later go on and get opportunities in the NHL? Was that kind of like your start up into understanding and loving hockey?
Yeah, actually, one of my I was really fortunate. My parents, we used to billet a Wheat King when I was about 4 to 9 years old. His name was Ryan Stone. Went on to play in the American League with Wilkes-Barre and then the NHL. Just became my best friend at a young age, and I'm an only child, so he was like a big brother to me, and he's the guy I got to look up to playing for Brandon. And from being 4 years old, all I wanted to do was play for the Wheat Kings. So for that to come true in the long run was pretty special.
Earlier in the episode, we talked about Savannah, Georgia coming in the league and, talking about some of the great things in Savannah, Georgia. And to segue that into Brandon, Manitoba, I remember I'm the broadcaster for Reading when we're playing in Evan for Adirondack. And we had Josh McDonald had a great year with the Royals in 2018-19. And we asked him, what's the best thing about your hometown? And I found out later he was being a little bit bashful because he didn't want to brag. But in the middle of a radio show, he said, essentially said, there's nothing good about my hometown. There's nothing my hometown is famous for. So what is the thing for someone in Rapid City, a fan of the Rush listening, that might not even know where Brandon is on a map, to say this is the one thing you should know about the town of Brandon, Manitoba?
The one thing about Brandon, Manitoba is the people. It gets scary cold in the winter, and it gets so cold that it actually passes in Fahrenheit for Celsius. So we're talking like minus 45, 50 degrees Fahrenheit and Celsius. But the people there are so good. If you were caught in the street, they'd invite you in to stay the night. Everyone is just so welcoming, and that's the one thing that we have.
So after you leave Brampton for the first time, pretty much probably in your life, you head over to U Sports, stay in Canada, go to the University of Calgary. What sparks that decision for you? Obviously, you're older at this point, playing 5 years in the WHL, and then you have to make a decision. Okay, my time is up here. What's your next step? What was your thought process into making that leap, and then kind of segueing that into the chance in the ECHL?
Yeah, actually, it begins about a year ahead of that. I was in camp a couple times with the Vancouver Canucks at 18, 19, and then with the Coyotes at 19, 20. So I'd seen a little bit of pro hockey in those mindsets. And then I actually started in Jacksonville, Florida before I went to the U Sports. I got a little taste of pro there, and it was kind of one of those things. You're a 20-year-old kid, maybe a little underdeveloped, trying to break into pro hockey with men in a 10-forward league. It can be hard for guys. And I mean, being this age now, I see it quite a bit happening, and U Sports just seemed like the right path for a year. And once I got there and I just miss playing pro hockey. It's being brought up in the Western Hockey League. You're born and raised to be a professional, and that's kind of the one thing you want to do, playing 72 games a year at 16 years old. It's hard to get away from that. So, I mean, U Sports was about 3 months, and I always really fun experiences. It's didn't necessarily finish or anything like that, but I'm happy to be back playing pro again.
When you talk about making that decision, take us into your mindset. You know, you go from Brandon, Manitoba to one of the warmest climates in the ECHL, Jacksonville. It's not too bad of a city to live in. You know, that's the first season that they existed in 17-18. And all of a sudden, you know, you're so stable for most of your life in Brandon, and now you got to make a decision. What was that, you know, what were you feeling at the time when you're like, man, I gotta get out of here for a little bit and try something different?
Well, it might have looked a little bit different in the driveway when I was speeding away in my truck with my golf clubs, but I was pretty excited to get down and just, you know, live on your own a little bit, and it was really fun for me. I like getting out, and it was a really nice group there in Jacksonville. We played a ton of golf. We got to experience the beach, the fishing. It was really nice just seeing a different side of life, and it helps you grow up a little bit.
How many times had you seen the ocean in your life before going to Jacksonville? And then I'll double down and say the Atlantic Ocean in case you've seen the Pacific.
I was a little fortunate as a kid to travel, but not many times. I saw it a lot more while I was there.
Fair.
So you get down to Jacksonville, and you said it before, you didn't stick there, unfortunately, and then you went back to the University of Calgary to spend some time there. And then you get an opportunity with the Rapid City Rush that you really, you know, got and ran with it. So once you stick with the Rush, what's kind of your mindset at this point? Because you're still, you know, at the time, once you come in, you're still a young guy, you're still kind of fresh. I'm sure you still have that AHL mentality. I'm not sure this much this season with what we're talking about, what was going on, but, you know, you come in from Rapid City, kind of your first experience in pro hockey as a full-time guy. What was some of the things that you took away early on from maybe your first couple of months of being with Rapid City for the first time?
Yeah, Rapid City was just so welcoming. It's such a town like mine. The people are so friendly. We have such great fans. I'm sure you guys have seen it before being here, but it's a crazy hockey town. That's exactly what it is. And I know how much the people here love hockey, and any success, I mean, it could be a guy called up for one game. If he scores, the fans will make him feel like he's been here for months. If he gets in a fight, the fans will make him feel like he's the king of Rapid City. It's one of those things where the fans make it home for any guy who comes in. And I think that's what really helped me just develop and become more of a steady player, was just having that home feeling. There's no better feeling than when you're comfortable playing hockey.
You know, chatting with Mark, with Benner before we had you on, there's a lot of great community stuff I want to jump into, but, you know, coming up to Rapid City, it's far away from other ECHL cities. It's a grind to have to, I know you guys are flying a lot with Spire Sports now, but that's hard. That's hard to do. It's not easy to, you know, be traveling all over, you know, essentially the central part of the United States, as far south to Allen, Texas. And then, you know, you guys are pretty much the furthest north one this year, excluding Idaho. So how have you adjusted to that side of the grind? And maybe how did your WHL career help you adjust to that side of it?
Yeah, the best story I think I have actually involves Mark too. It was my first trip in the East Coast, or with Rapid, I should say. And it was a 19-hour bus trip to Allen.
No big deal, yeah.
Yeah, it was
quick back and forth.
So we played a 3-3 with Allen, KC, and Tulsa. So 3 cities, 3 nights, all on a bus that, you know, it was a different looking bus. We'll just say that. And I laughed. I mean, Western League kid, I've done 26-hour road trips from Brandon to Portland, Oregon. Not a big deal for guys who have seen it before, but these college guys getting off the bus where they get to sleep in the same bed every night, all of a sudden you got to play after sleeping on a bus, and they weren't ready for it. So it was pretty cool. And then I came up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I look up and Mark's just typing away on his little cubby in his computer, and he looks down. He's like, "Hey, how do you like the bus?" He's just bopping along. He probably fit great inside those stalls where the guys in the back are cramped up. And I mean, guy like Garrett Klotz, 6'6", he was sleeping sideways, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, in some instances, Mark was probably the odd man out to go underneath the bus at some point, if needed, for space.
You know what? If we didn't have so many injuries last year, I think it might have got there.
But luckily for him, unfortunately for you guys, with your all your injuries. So Mark's like, all right, I'm going to spread my legs out, put my feet up and enjoy myself on the bus. And he's taking that for granted now. He's taking that for granted.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Have you seen the picture with him? There's someone on a stool sitting next to him, and he's like broadcasting next to them, and it's clear he doesn't have a stool, and he's still a little bit, beneath the person next to him. Have you witnessed that photo before?
I have not witnessed that, but I have seen an interview on a bus where he was standing and the guy on the stool, and it wasn't far off. So that was pretty good.
Interview on go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask because Mark shared this with us in a group chat a while ago. The video that he stars in for the video board in Rapid City. I'm not sure if they still play it or not, but there's a video where Mark's on the ice and he's wearing, I think at the time it was a Quad City Mallards jersey. It's one of those videos they show on the screen in the arena, kind of as a rib against the other team. So the other team goes to the penalty box. So Mark's dressed up and he's singing to a teammate in the penalty box. He's singing a Michael Bolton song, which is escaping me right now. It's bothering me that
a song escape you.
I know, and I've heard it. Give me a second here. This is bothering me that I don't know this.
I know the video you're talking about. You're a lot better with music than I am.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm blanking on this. I should not be blanking on this. Whatever.
It's like a love, like kind of like
the love song.
Yeah.
Hold on. We might have to make.
He does this and looks it up. You can look it up real quick. I will say that I've had done trivia nights with Evan here. He is clearly like the MVP of trivia nights. It's not. I'll know a few history questions. Let me know when you have the song, and I'll stop talking. By the way, Evan.
I can jump in on that one. Last year, speaking of all the community events that we do, Mark actually took us to a trivia night.
Ooh.
And we won by a landslide. And he had 3 guys with him who all played in the CHL who might have combined for one question.
That's great.
That's just big brain Mark Benetti showing off.
He carried the team through every single category up and down. And it was amazing. They were asking old NFL questions, old MLB questions. They were into history, movies. He had it all. It was incredible.
He's a very versatile guy. You can bring up whatever you want with Mark. Do you have the song, Piv? I feel like
I do. Hold on.
All right. So again, to recap, we have video board.
How am I supposed to live without you? That's it.
That's it.
I don't know why that was escaping me.
What was the question you had about this? I don't remember where you.
I don't even know. Have you seen the video?
I haven't, but now that you guys bring it up, I'm going to ask Mark for it.
All right, I have it here. I'm going to see if I can.
Yeah.
And if you want to keep that in too, this is just raw.
Yeah. Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. I'll show it so we can get. I can't. I don't know how to.
This is going to be great.
Okay, so this is Mark Benetti at his finest, lip syncing.
This is so good.
Oh my God.
It's a really funny video too.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
The Ron Burgundy Yaz flute in the background.
Oh, the Yaz flute. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it because, Mark's a music guy. He, went to college and played in the band. I think he could sing. He can sing. I think he's done the national anthem a couple of times.
He has, and he's actually incredible. We had a Christmas party last year, and I think he had about 5 encores. We didn't want him to leave the stage. It was amazing. He could do anything. He could cover any song.
What were his songs? I need to know this just for I could have these in my back pocket.
It wasn't a good Christmas party if you can remember more than one song. That's what I'm worried about.
I do remember the categories were like 80s and 90s rock. So anything up that alley. I'm sure I have some videos of it on my phone. I remember our coach, Daniel Tatro, did Boot Scoot Boogie. And that was a memorable performance.
Daniel Tatro, we had him on episode 1. We like to think he helped launch this podcast into 7 episodes of success, with this, of course, being episode 8, where it all goes off the rails. And man, he is such a good guy. Like, you can just tell talking to him, the passion he has. He's a former Brandon Wheat King great. What's it like being coached by Tets, Daniel Tatro?
There is so much love and passion for the game in Tetsi. I mean, he's, like you said, he's an ex-Wheat King. He actually was in Brandon while my parents were big fans of the team, and they'd have Saturday nights out wherever together, and they knew Daniel before I even signed here. So that was, I mean, having a little bit of familiarity when you come down and just knowing someone is huge, and having him behind the bench just makes you settle in right away. And I mean, ever since then, it's been just awesome playing for Tetsi.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where you're just kind of talking to him, and I don't play hockey, obviously. I'm not a professional athlete, obviously, but he's one of those guys like, I'll lace up the skates right now and play for you. It's one of those he's that type of a guy where, just as David said, just the passion that he kind of brings and how, welcoming he is at the same time. He's knowledgeable. It's just one of those. It's kind of probably contagious in the room in a way where, everyone's probably at their edge of the seat or in their stall when he's talking, and they're just picking up every word he says. And that probably helps a lot with the buy-in.
Oh, 100%. It's the run through a wall mentality for that man. So I know he gets it. That's kind of the Rapid City Rush Hockey brand, I guess you would call it. I know some nights it gets a little carried away with some of the guys that we have, but that's probably why we've taken a few penalties.
Your work in the community there, and again, kudos to Mark, who sent us many articles. I sort of skimmed through one, but the one I did read through fully was the one about your work. I forget the exact name of the program, but your work with local law enforcement and first enforcers. It has the word badges in it. I just can't remember the specific name. How did you get involved with that, and what was the program all about?
Yeah, the Badge Buddies program. It's really, really nice. This year it's a little bit trickier to do, but we're still trying to kind of run something maybe through Zoom or something like that. But the Badge Buddies program, I mean, kind of goes back to, I went on a trip in Vancouver with a couple of my teammates, and it was through East Hastings, which is the most dangerous city in the world, or the most dangerous street in the world. It's 2 neighborhoods, and the population's about 45,000. And there's essentially no laws. It's one of the biggest drug trafficking / just open use of drugs on streets. So we went through and talked to different people about their life experiences and how they got there. And we kind of bring that back to at-risk kids in Brandon, where we could get them to see the police not more as a challenge, but as they're there to help you. And if you ever need them, that they really are the good guys. And bringing that back to Rapid City, as I wouldn't say more at-risk kids, but they were rewarding good students and good people with tickets to the game accompanied with law enforcement. And I think that really putting that in kids' head at a young age, that we're doing good and we get to spend time with police officers at the hockey game, just builds a positive image.
Now, what kind of led you to that being your, obviously everyone has a kind of purpose and something they're really interested in working with. What led you to going down that route, to be able to get that experience to go to Vancouver and talk to people on that street?
Yeah, we were very fortunate. It was our GM at the time, Grant Armstrong, who had worked in Victoria, and they had done the program there. So when he came to Brandon, he was able to send our leadership group, which was our 3 20-year-old captains and then one of our 19-year-old captains, out with 12 police officers. And they're all undercover, but everyone knows who they are. So they're very open about their life experiences, what they use, how often, all that kind of stuff. And just seeing that firsthand, it really kind of makes you want to help in any way possible. And I think with Rapid City, it's been just a huge success, the program last year running. And I really hope we can kind of get something going again this year.
You were reading to kids yesterday over Zoom, if I'm not mistaken. What's that like during a pandemic to still be doing community work and you're not quite able to be there in person?
Yeah, it was a little different, but it actually worked really well. I mean, we had about 4 or 5 classrooms on screen with us. So it was pretty great that we could see the kids still, and we know that they're entertained or grasping what we're doing. And then my favorite part after is obviously question and answer. I know last year we maybe went a little overtime on some classrooms because you're getting all different kinds of questions. Definitely not about hockey or the books
or just the statements. I'm a big fan of the statements. Like they'll
There-
raise their hand and
Yeah.
they're like, "My dad plays hockey."
Oh, those are my favorite ones. But
Yeah.
it was great because we could have about 3 or 4 questions from each classroom, and their teacher would have the kid come up onto the screen. They would open the microphone, they could read the questions, and then it was great because we could answer in all the classrooms. So that was a really nice thing we did.
So did like someone introduce you over Zoom and then you kind of jumped into reading?
Actually, when they turned it on, we just we made sure we could see all the classrooms first, and we could see that everyone's microphones were working. And then our front office staff, Kaylee, she was great about kind of making sure everyone knows who we are and before we start, all that kind of stuff. So at least we had a little intro. We weren't just 2 guys showing up on the screens.
What are these 2 random men doing in this classroom Zoom chat? So, obviously getting the kids involved is so important when it comes to minor league sports in specifically because, it's a fun night out for families. It's a big family event. What is the family aspect like when people go to a Rapid City Rush game? How are the kids entertained? What have you, I know obviously you're not watching everything that's going on because you're playing the game, but when you're, from what you gathered, what is kind of a family night like in Rapid City going?
The family nights are really good, actually. I unfortunately was hurt for about 3 weeks last year, and oddly enough, it was on a homestand. So I got to see a couple games from the crowd, and they do a great job. I mean, there's always multiple mascots roaming around, interacting with the kids. The 3 TV timeouts per period really help. I know we do a lot of media work to start the year to play games on the Jumbotron and stuff like that. There's a lot of trivia. And I mean, just the social interaction on the concourse as well. I know our Lady Miners, the squad for the team, they do a lot of, especially like player appearances when we're on the road. They're out doing stuff in the community as well. And just in between periods, I mean, we had axe throwing on the concourse. There's just a lot of stuff that really helps bring families to the game. And it's really important, like you said, in minor league sport.
I know it's kind of just in a season, guys come to Reading, you're in Reading for 6 months, and then sometimes the way they put it is that they'll go back home and then, they'll maybe come back or sign somewhere else. Kind of feels to me like you're considering Rapid City to be sort of that second home. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think every guy that plays here can almost say that. It is what South Dakota, and like you said, it's in the middle of nowhere, but every guy that comes here, I feel, is from the Midwest or that west side of Canada. So they do a very good job of making everyone feel at home here. And just the setups, the apartments are beautiful. The rink's awesome. The training staff is just so good here. And it just feels like home as soon as you get here.
Before we wrap up with you, I have a few more questions. One of them is about the biggest tourist destination in the Rapid City area, and that is Mount Rushmore. I know for you as a Canadian, it's a little bit different than an American going there in terms of just historic sense. But have you been there? How many times have you been there? What are your thoughts? What's your review? What's your Yelp review of Mount Rushmore?
All right.
Can I give you what my honest answer is? I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, please do.
The Badlands are a lot better. I love going to the Badlands. It's not big enough. Now I'll let you answer how, without slandering, you can just agree or whatever. So
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
The Badlands are one of the coolest things I've seen, and I just couldn't believe how big it was.
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore is faces on a rock.
Well said.
And that is my Yelp review, and I will stand by it. I've been once, and it was I went.
Fine. Yeah.
And you know what? I really like the area around it. The Black Hills are beautiful, but you're right. It's kind of like, I thought it was going to be like National Treasure 2, where you can kind of like walk around if you've ever, and you can, but it's like, it's not as much outdoors, but it's still great. Like, it's worth seeing. Absolutely. I just think you're kind of on point, and maybe I'm from New Jersey, so I'm not Canadian, but like, I'm not trying to slander it, because I did enjoy visiting it and then go hiking in the Black Hills, but it kind of felt like 15 minutes and 20 minutes and you're good, but it's worth seeing is sort of maybe.
Black Hills hiking trails might be some of the best I've seen. It's amazing. You could walk for miles and miles, and every corner It could be the Badlands. It could be something else.
Yeah.
We went for a hike a couple of weeks ago, and our elevation was 7,200 feet. And I couldn't believe how just much we had climbed, and it just never seemed to stop going up. The way down was way more fun. But the surrounding area to Rapid City is beautiful in the Black Hills.
You need to get the Rapid City Rush front office, especially Mark Panetti, in on this, because everyone's heard about that secret room in the back of Mount Rushmore, right? Where the archive where they keep all that stuff. I think, you guys are pretty big in the community. You could, maybe get a little tour. I know no one's probably ever seen it in the history of existence, what actually is in there, but I think you guys can intertwine, as a community event, as a player appearance. Hey, check out the Rapid City Rush inside the archive in the back of Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore. That's what the word is.
So we actually did a hike up behind Mount Rushmore, and I'm pretty sure I saw a door. So I want to go check that out.
And the last one for you my last one before we let you go here is, I think we talk about this every single time we mention Rapid City and Mark Benetti. And of course, this is a Mark Benetti question. Have you done the olives in the Bud Light yet?
Yes.
How is it?
It works. I don't get it. I don't understand it. My parents came down last year. They looked at me. I looked at them. None of us understood it, and it somehow works.
Because that's the thing. It's the strangest thing. Do you like olives by himself?
Not at all.
All right. Neither do I. And I just can't fathom throwing olives in my beer and be like, hey, yeah, this is good. But if I were to say that to a bartender, I'd be kicked out.
Yes.
Falls,
Anywhere
absolutely.
but Rapid City.
Yeah.
In Rapid City, they come like that on the menu. So it's what you have to expect.
Okay. So there's been so many rave reviews about this, especially here on the podcast so far in our 8 episodes, that, I'm not going to try it until I'm with Binner at some point, because I feel like that's just like a passing of the torch sort of a thing. I'm not going to go and do it myself and be that guy at the bar, but I will wait for Mark Benetti to, order me one of those and hopefully pay for one of those for me. But yeah, there's so many rave reviews that, I'm intrigued.
Oh, it's something that has to be done while you're here.
Okay. So instead of Mount Rushmore, throw olives in your beer.
100%.
Piv and I are located relatively close to each other geographically, and we grew up it feels like a world apart, but it's only 45 miles. And I just can't imagine a bar in Midtown Manhattan, since we're both around New York City, because everything is so, one of the joys, and Piv will know I'm talking about, go get a slice of pizza. Hey, 2 slices, 2 plain to go. And that's your order, $5. And within 5 seconds, it feels like you're taken care of, right? Mm-hmm. I can't imagine walking into a bar in Midtown Manhattan. What do you want? Bud Light. Can you please put a few olives in it for me, please? Yeah. What are you talking about? It'd be sort of that, not rude, but kind of on the borderline of that. What's this guy's deal? Would be kind of the thing. So, with Binner, it can't be anywhere but in Rapid City with Binner is how I'm declaring it for the first experience of that. But I am looking forward to it whenever that is. And Tyler, it's been a joy. Thank you for coming on. And it was Mark's recommendation to have you on the show, and we feel like you passed with flying marks. So thank you for coming on and being enjoyable and sharing your experience this season.
Awesome. Thanks very much for having me, guys.